Lillahi ta'ala. All right. And so we're moving right along in Sarf. And now we are, alhamdulillah, we're still in the basics, but we're not in the most fundamental basics. Because we have finally reached the chapters of Ghayru Salim, unsound verbs. That means we have crossed, gone to another plane now, another level. And the author says here, may Allah have mercy upon him, وَالْمُضَاعَفُ يَلْحَقُهُ الْإِدْغَامِ. The muda'af, so the doubled verb. By the way, here, these letters, Dad, Ain, Fa, they have the meaning of doubling. That's besides having the meaning of weakness, that's different meaning. If something's weak, you call it da'if. But you can use the same letters also for the meaning of doubling, as it is here. So for now, I'm going to use the word doubled in my translation. And you know what that refers to? That refers to one of the root letters being doubled. And when we say one of the root letters is doubled, yani, we already defined what is the MuDaa. Let's see the definition here. You have two cases of MuDaa, because you have MuDaa from a thulathi, you have MuDaa from thulathi, and you have MuDaa from ruba'i. So MuDaa from a thulathi, three-lettered verb, doubled, the doubled three-letter verb. So what's doubled actually? What's doubled is the doubling occurs in the middle letter and the last letter. In the middle letter and the last letter. That's where the doubling occurs. Yani, I'll read right here. He says, وَهُوَ مِنَ الثُّلَاثِيِّ الْمُجَرَّدِ وَالْمَزِيدِ فِيهِ. The doubled verb, when it is from a bare triliteral verb, three letters with no extra letters, وَالْمَزِيدِ فِيهِ, or even if it has additional letters, but it's triliteral, three root letters and additional letters too. ما كان عينه ولامه من جنس واحد. That's when the middle root letter and the last root letter are the same letter, the same kind of letter. كرد وأعد فإن أصلهما ردد وأعدد. So like radda and a'adda. We covered this already. I'm just repeating with you now. The source of radda and a'adda is radada. So you see the middle and the last letter, root letters, are the same. And the source of a'adda is a'dada. So you see the middle root letter and the last root letter are the same letter, or same kind of letter if you want. And then what happens is that we merge them, we fuse them together. Now, the doubled verb, if it's ruba'i, has different case. If it's ruba'i, he told us. ما كان فاؤه ولامه الأولى من جنس واحد. When the fa, the first root letter, and the third root letter, when the first root letter and the third root letter are the same. وكذلك عينه ولامه الثانية من جنس واحد. And likewise, the second root letter and the fourth root letter are the same. That's مضاعف رباعي. Quadriliteral doubled verb. Quadriliteral means 4 root letters. And doubled means what I just now pointed out to you. So, زلزلة. That's مضاعف رباعي. So now the author tells us that المضاعف والمضاعف يلحقه الإدغام. The مضاعف is subject to merging. Subject to. يلحقه. يلحقه means catches up to it. The way I'm translating it is fine here. Is subject to. Or susceptible to. But if I wanted to translate it as literally as I could, means idgham catches up to it. Merging catches up to this type of verb. That's the meaning of luhuq. Luhuq is the masdar here for this yalhaquhu, luhuqan. That's literal meaning of luhuq, catching up to. So the doubled verb is subject to merger or merging, meaning some of its letters are going to be merged. Or could be merged. Sometimes it's going to be mudaf and you're going to split those letters apart. When we look at the definition of mudaf here, did the author say in the definition that the second and third root letters are merged together? فأسكنت الدال الأولى وأدغمت في الثانية. As if he did. But that's not part of the definition there. When he says here, فَأُسْكِنَتِ دَالُ الْأُولَى, the first dal gets a sukoon, وَأُدْغِمَتْ فِي الثَّانِيَةِ, and then it gets merged into the second dal. You might take that as part of the definition of mudaf, but that's not necessarily the case. It's not the part of the definition. Rather, he's just clarifying for us what happened in the examples he gave us. Radda and a'adda. The definition he gave us, if just the definition itself is here. ما كان عينه ولامه من جنس واحد. That's it. When the second and third root letters are the same letter. That's muda'af thulathi. Must those two same letters be merged? Not always. So that's clarified here when he says وَالْمُضَاعَفُ يَلْحَقُهُ الْإِدْغَامِ. Muda'af is subject to idgham. Merging. That, when you say it that way, gives you the understanding that it's not necessary always. Sometimes it is, though. Sometimes the idgham is wajib. Wajib, necessary means if you don't do it, you're wrong. It's not wajib according to the meaning of law. Law, when you say wajib, obligatory means if you don't do it, you're sinful. Here we're talking about language. So when we say it's wajib in language means if you don't do it, you're making a blunder. You're making a blunder in your speech. So, وَالْمُضَاعَفُ يَلْحَقُهُ الْإِدْغَامِ. The مضاعف, the doubled verb, is subject to merger. وَهُوَ أَن تُسْكِنَ الْأَوَّلِ وَتُدْرِجَهُ فِي الثَّانِي. That merger is for you to give a sukoon to the first letter and then to insert it into the second letter. Yani, first letter means the first. Yani, first letter means here the second root letter. Yani, we're dealing with two letters here. We're talking about two letters. Those two letters are not the first and second letters in the word. Those two letters are the second root letter and the third root letter. Second root letter and third root letter. So this second root letter here, we're calling it the first letter because these two are the ones we're focusing on. Now just zeroing in on two letters. So the first of those two, you remove the vowel from it. You make it sakin, vowelless, and then you insert it into the next letter, which is the same letter. The result is going to be a doubled letter. ويسمى الحرف الأول مدغما والثاني مدغما فيه. Then the first letter is going to be called merged, and the second letter is going to be called merged into. Merged into. Merged and merged into. Maybe there's some more technical words you could use when just translating. If there's more technical words, then this is just a crude literal translation. So then he says what I was telling you. وَالْإِدْغَامُ وَاجِبْ فِي نَحْوِ مَدَّ يَمُدِّ. The merger of those letters is wajib, necessary. If you don't do it, you're going to be committing a blunder in the likes of madda yamuddu. So you do not say madada yamdudu. You say madda, not madada. And you say yamuddu, not yamdudu. But let me show you the origin. So, madda, as you know, its origin is madada. So what happened? Just like the author told us, you remove the vowel from the first one and then fuse it into the second one. And then the result is madda. So you're going to make a change in pronunciation and script, because in script you're only going to write one dal. And so that's past tense verb. Here's present tense verb. Yamuddu. So the source of this is yamdud. Yamdud. What happened here? Here you're going to relocate the dhamma so that it becomes a dhamma on the meme. When you relocate that dhamma from the dal, then the dal itself becomes with a sukoon. You just removed its vowel. So then you say yamud, and then you merge the first dal into the second dal. And then your result is going to be yamuddu. Madda yamuddu. Okay, I think that's clear. So he right here in this paragraph wants to tell us when the idgham is wajib. This in itself makes you understand that there's cases when the idgham is not wajib. There are cases when you will be able to split those two letters apart, to split those two like letters apart and not fuse them. It's still going to be mudaf. It's still going to be in the category of mudaf. So he said also here, a'adda yu'iddu wa'tadda ya'taddu. وانقد ينقد واسود يسود واسواد يسواد واستعد يستعد وطمأنن وطمأن يطمئن تماد يتماد. Okay, so now I just gave us all those examples. Your duty as a student of knowledge here, especially if you are in a proper educational, religious educational setting, you're going to be memorizing this, committing this paragraph to memory. Not just hearing it in the lesson, committing it to memory. You're going to go back after the lesson and memorize your lesson. It's part of what makes Muslim education strong, make Muslims strong in knowledge. They memorize. I studied education in university. They look down on memorization. They don't do it the Muslim way. They say anyone can memorize. Why are they saying like that? Because they themselves don't memorize. The professors themselves don't memorize anything. So they're going to make it like, it's no big deal. Okay, so let's look at these examples the author gave us. So he said, madda yamuddu. Yes. Then he said, a'adda yu'iddu. Take a look here. A'adda. So, if you've been following all this time, then you know very well why yu'iddu, why we say yu'iddu. And let me see who's here so I can ask. Why? Here's my question, not for Abu Hussam. Not for Abu Hussam. Someone else will answer this question for me. Why is there a dhamma here in yu'iddu? Why is there a dhamma there in yu'iddu? Why? 4, 3.
Is
Sorry?
that pattern?
Say it again, please.
Is that the pattern? Conjugated, I guess.
Well, it is following a pattern. That right there is because of a consistent pattern, but there's a rule that made us know there should be a dhamma there.
I don't know that.
Abu Hussam, you can answer if you want to. I'm going to continue the countdown though. 3.
When the a double verb is a verb whose ayn, whose middle letter, and lam. No, inshallah, I'll go back. Tafadhal.
Okay. I'll still complete the countdown though. 2, 1. So the answer is because whenever past tense form has 4 letters, mudari starts with a dhamma. So what are those 4-lettered past tense forms? They are limited, so remember them. Here's their patterns. Fa'ala and fa'ala and fa'ala and fa'lala. So, what's the mudari' of fa'ala yufa'ilu? And of fa'ala is yufa'ilu. Of af'ala is yuf'ilu. And fa'lala is yufa'lilu. Whenever the Maldi has 4 letters, the mudari' starts with a dhamma. And right now, which pattern are we dealing with? So here's another question. Out of these 1, 2, 3, 4 patterns, which one are we dealing with right now? Because the verb is a'adda yu'iddu. A'adda yu'iddu. So which pattern does a'adda yu'iddu fall under?
أفعل.
Number 1.
Pattern 3. Number 3 here. Here it is. If we break it apart, a'dada, af'ala. Yeah. So when we merge it, we're going to say a'adda. Yeah. And then in mudari' form, we're going to say yu'iddu. What's the origin of a'adda? It's a'dada. What happens here? We relocate this fatha on the dal, we slide it over to the ayn. So the ayn becomes with the fatha now. And then by removing the fatha that was on the dal itself becomes with a sukoon. And then it results in saying a'adda, a'adda. And in script, we're going to write only one dal and put a shadda on it. And what's the mudari' is yu'iddu. Yu'iddu. If we break the dals apart, then it would be yu'didu. So af'ala yuf'ilu. Adada yu'didu. What happens here? Same thing. We slide this kasra over to the ayn. That's going to take the sukoon off of the ayn. And it's going to render the dal with the sukoon itself. And then we're going to merge those 2 dals into one. And the result is yu'iddu. I think that's clear. Any question? I have a question for you. What about this verb here? Zalzala. Which pattern is zalzala out of these 4?
Number 4.
Number 4. Fa'lala. Zalzala. So yufa'lilu. So what's the mudari'? You tell me before I write it. I'd like to hear you say it.
Yuzalzilu.
Yuzalzilu. Thank you. So zalzala yuzalzilu. Correct. May Allah grant you an accepted dua. Ameen. I was going to say, who answers this question correctly? May Allah answer the dua of who answers this correctly. I didn't say it, but I still made the dua. Okay. So, that's clear, insha'Allah ta'ala. What else did the author say? After a'adda yu'iddu, he said, wa'atadda ya'taddu, i'tadda ya'taddu. Let's take a look there. I'tadda ya'taddu. So, the origin of i'tadda is what? Tell me, please, someone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'tadda. I'tadda. And what's the pattern of that, please? Someone tell me, what pattern is i'tadda? Yeah, let's count the letters though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So what is the pattern of i'tadda?
افتعل.
Ifta'ala. Barakallahu fikum. I'tadda is ifta'ala. I'tadda. But remember, when you do the wazn, the pattern for these irregular verbs, for these muda'af, and stick to the subject here at hand. When you do the pattern for the muda'af, the pattern does not change. You're not going to alter the pattern. The origin of i'tadda is i'tadada. The pattern of i'tadada is ifta'ala. So ifta'ala is the pattern of i'tadada. And i'tadada, we condensed it into i'tadda. So when at the end we got to the word i'tadda, and then we want to look at its pattern, are we going to make any alteration to the pattern itself like we did to the verb? No, we are not. The pattern is going to stay regular with no alteration. And so we say the wazn of i'tadda is ifta'ala. Just like we say the wazn of a'adda is af'ala. The wazn of a'adda is af'ala. Okay, so then the mudari' of i'tadda is ya'taddu. Originally, ya'taddu was ya'tadidu. Ya'tadidu. What happened here? In this case, we did not slide the kasra over. This kasra got removed. And then we simply merged the dal into the dal. It became ya'taddu. Okay. And then he gave us inqadda, yanqaddu. What's he doing here? He's giving us all these awzan. Which awzan? These awzan, by the way, now you're going to practice this. If you didn't do this before, you need to do this. This is important for you. What are those awzan? We did this before. If it's just 3 letters, you're going to go step by step. 3 letters, 4 letters, 5 letters, 6 letters. So 3 letters. What are the patterns you have? Fa'ala, fa'ila, fa'ula. Intaha. That's it. 3 letters. 4 letters. What are the patterns you have? Just gave them to you. The patterns you have for 4 letters are af'ala, fa'ala, fa'ala, and fa'lala. What are the patterns you have for 5 letters? Ifta'ala and انفعل and تفاعل and تفعل and around space over here تفعلل تفعلل. So for past tense, we have how many patterns? 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, not for past tense. For 3 letters, we have 3 patterns. For 4 letters, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 patterns. For 5 letters, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 patterns. Very interesting. I never realized that progression there. Until right now, reviewing and studying with you brothers and sisters. That's the benefit of review. That's going to help me remember. And 6 letters, without looking at all 6-letter patterns, just 1 or 2, like what's most famous, you're going to encounter most, istafala. Istafala. That's what you're going to encounter most out of 6 letters. There's some other 6-letter patterns. I'll settle with that for now. So the author is now going through all these. Well, he gave us an example for af'ala in a'adda. Fa'ala is not going to work. Muda'af. This fa'ala, that's not going to work as muda'af. It's not going to work. Because when you say fa'ala, originally it's like this. Fa'ala, fa'ala. With sukoon on first letter. On the first ayn, I mean. So, yeah, you think about that. What I want to say to you, you think about it, perhaps you will understand. Goes back to the fact that you cannot have 2 sukoons in a row. Since you can't have 2 sukoons in a row, then this pattern here, fa'ala, is not going to be muda'af. Okay. Fa'ala. And let's see what the author has for us. Fa'lala, I already told you an example of fa'lala is zalzala. So we saw an example for af'ala and for fa'lala. Now we're seeing an example for if we've seen an example of if ta'ala in i'tadda. Now the author wants to do another one in qadda. Which wasn't is that? That's in fa'ala. So the origin of in qadda was in qadada, which is in fa'ala. So then we merge the 2 dals together. And so the mudari' of in qadda is yanqaddu. And its origin is yanqadidu. 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 So we remove that kasra and merge those dals and reduce the word down to yanqaddu. Okay. So Oh, there's a pattern we didn't put for 5 letters. So there's more than 5. Which pattern we didn't put? And nobody reminded me, as if those patterns are not fresh in your mind so that it registered for you that I didn't put this pattern. If'al. 5 letters. If'al. So that's 6 wazns with 5 letters. So he gave us an example. He said, Iswadda. Iswadda. Notice here, you see this line here between the scene and the wow. I stretched it a little bit. How far you can stretch that for your information? As far as you want to. Okay. So Iswadda, what's the origin of Iswadda? Its origin is Iswadada. Huh? Iswadada. Let's take a look there. So the origin of Iswadda would be Iswadada. So, but if we say Iswadda, that's the pattern of If'al. Iswadada. So If'al is If'alala. If'alala is the origin of If'al. If'alala? No. Okay. Here, the author did something. Which is here, the author did not give us a true MuDaa. Iswadda is not a doubled verb because all of its root letters are distinct. Sin, waw, dal. Sawad. What's sawad? Blackness. Something that has the attribute of sawad is described as, if it's masculine, aswad. If it's feminine, then soda. Aswad is masculine. Soda is feminine. So we see here, there's no doubling. All the root letters are distinguished, are different from each other. So what happened here? What happened here that the author just wanted to give you an example of something with a necessary merger. Because that's his topic now. He said here, wal idghamu wajib. Wajib. This is what he wants to talk about. Necessary merger. Coupled with wanting to give examples from each pattern. Necessary merger combined with wanting to give examples from each pattern led the author to give us an example that in reality does not fall under the category. Iswadda is not MuDaa. MuDaa, we saw the definition of MuDaa. MuDaa, if it's a thulathi and Iswadda is a thulathi, then Ainuhu wa lamuhu min jinsin wahid, its middle root letter and its last root letter should be the same letter. In the case of Iswadda, the middle root letter is a wow and the last root letter is a dal. So then it's not a true MuDaa. Iswadda, yaswaddu. However, The two dals there, you cannot break them apart. Since you can't break those two dals apart, then that is a idghamun wajib, necessary merger, but it's out of place and would have been better for the author to draw attention to the fact that he gave us something out of place, or else you might make a mistake. See right there? See what's going to happen if you're just a page flipper. At the very least, you're going to say, if you think about it, if you study well, not just listen to the lesson, but you go back and you study and you look at your notes and you break it down and you rewrite your notes and you memorize and you put all your stuff together. At the very least, you're going to scratch your head and say, there's something here. And then you're going to ask. But if you don't, then you might fall into a mistake here. Because the author did not draw attention to the fact that this word is out of place. So, going back to what I was writing out for you here. Iswadda, the origin of iswadda is iswadada? No, not exactly. Because this pattern, if we look at the pattern, if'alla, this is the pattern. Not if'alala. The pattern itself is if'alla, not if'alala. So what that means is this pattern, if'alla, you're going, if a word is having this pattern, then you're going to take that last root letter, the third root letter only, and double it. Not that you're going to merge the second root letter into the third root letter. Rather, you're going to take the third root letter and merely double it as it is. So you're going to say iswadda here. And for example, for ahmar, red, you're going to say ihmarra, double the ra only. The meme stays firm though, which is the second root letter. So I think you understand what this means, what I'm saying to you. Say, for example, abyad. Then you'd say ibyadda. Just doubling the last letter, not merging the second letter into the third letter. So this case is out of place here. Then what did the author say? He said, وَطُمَأَنَّ يَطُمَئِنُّ يعني اطمأن and يطمئن. This is also out of place. How many letters is this, by the way? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is the pattern for that? We saw the pattern for that. Yani, we saw, for example, this word, iqul sha'arra. Iqul sha'arra. Slow me down here. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Ifa'alalla. 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 What is this? What's going on here? There's something here. Ooh, we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about it. So, iqul sha'arra. This merger is, itulma'anna. That's the example the author gave us. This is also out of place. Not originally here. مضاعف ثلاثي مضاعف. And then what did the author say? وتماد. Good. Last one. تماد. يتماد. Yes, here in this case, the second and third root letters are the same. In this case, the second and third root letters are the same because we have mim, dal, dal. Oh, which pattern is this? How many letters we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tamada is the pattern of tafa'ala. Tafa'ala. Because the origin of tamada is tamadada. Tamadada. Tafa'ala. And then we merge the dals into the dal. So it becomes tamada yatamadu. In all of these cases, the idgham, the merger, is necessary. Don't forget to read this metin. It's very good exercise for you if you want to practice your Arabic reading. Maybe you study Quran and you read the Arabic of the Quran. That's good. But the Quran has a blessing in it. It's going to be easier to read anyway. This is by observation. You give a person the Mus'haf is going to read it if he can read the Arabic. You give him something else, he'll be stumbling all day. So this one, this metin is perfect one, is a good one for you to practice reading. And don't say, well, I read it already. Yani, read it again, over and over and over again. What's going to happen? Number one, you're going to start memorizing it just by the mere repetition. Number two, you're going to break your tongue in. How much would you love to be able to read this paragraph like this? وَالْإِدْغَامُ وَاجِبٌ فِي نَحْوِ مَدَّ يَمُدُّ في نحو مد يمد وأعد يعد وعتد يعتد وانقد ينقد واسود يسود واسواد يسواد, etc. Or would you prefer to read like this? والإدغام واجب نحوي مادة. So if you want to read like that, then don't practice. Now the author wants to move on, and he says, وَكَذَا هَذِهِ الْأَفْعَالِ إِذَا بَنَيْتَهَا لِلْمَفْعُولِ. And likewise, these verbs, meaning the idgham, the merger, is wajib, is necessary. And necessary here means if you don't do it, you're going to make a blunder in the language. Wajib here does not mean obligatory according to the fuqaha. That's a different wajib. The wajib of the scholars of fiqh is the thing that if you don't do it, you deserve torture. The wajib here to the linguist is that which if you don't do it, you're making a blunder in speech. You have to do it here with the meaning of correctness of language. So these verbs that we just went through, they have the same judgment of the necessity of merging the ayn and the lam when the verb is configured for the receiver, passive voice, even when the verb is configured for the receiver. Nahu, such as mudda yumaddu. Let's see what happened there. So the origin of mudda is mudida. MuDaa. The origin is MuDaa. So what do we do? What we do here is we just omit this kasra altogether. That renders this dal with a sukoon. And then we are able to merge these two dals, and the result is madda, MuDaa. The result is MuDaa, mabniyun lil maf'ul. So what about yumaddu? Yumaddu. Its origin is yumdadu. Yumdadu. You should be getting this, inshallah. So what happened here? I'm going to tell you, but you're going to, in your own heart, follow along and be right. What happened here is that the fatha on yumdad got relocated to the meme. So now the sukoon that was on the meme is gone, and a fatha has filled the space. But that effectively leaves the dal with a sukoon. Then we will be able to merge the dal into the dal. So he says, وَكَذَا هَذِهِ الْأَفْعَالُ إِذَا بَنَيْتَهَا لِلْمَفْعُولِ. And likewise, these verbs, if you configured them for the receiver, نَحْوُ مُدَّةٍ, it was stretched. يُمَدُّ, it is or shall be stretched. وَقِسْ عَلَى هَذَا نَظَائِرُهُ. And compare to this, whatever is similar. وَفِي نَحْوِ مَدٍّ مَصْدَرًا. And also, the merger is necessary for the for the nahu. وَفِي نَحْوِ مَدٍّ مَصْدَرًا. So also the masdar, the source noun, is subject to idgham in its root letters. وَكَذَلِكَ إِذَا اتصل بالفعل يعني مد. He gave you the example. Med. وَفِي نَحْوِ med. That's a noun. Med. مد. وكذلك إذا اتصل بالفعل ألف الضمير أو واوه أو ياؤه. And likewise, the idgham still going to be wajib if the pronouns of alif, waw, or ya suffix. نحو مدة مدو مدي. Mudda, you two were stretched. Muddu, you three or more were stretched. Then he wants to talk about when the idgham is impossible. And now I'm using the word impossible. Don't get nervous here. It's not impossible according to the meaning in Aqidah, the mental impossibility. No, not this meaning of impossible. Rather, the meaning of impossible, the impossible, which means no possible way that's valid, no valid way. Yani, no valid way to make the merger. You must split the letters apart here. والإدغام ممتنع في نحو مددت ومددنا ومددت إلى مددتن ومددنا ومددنا ويمددنا وتمددنا وامددنا ولا تمددنا. Let's look at Sarf all the way through. مد مدا مدو مدت مدتا مددنا مددنا. The dals broke apart. Still mudaf. But why did the dals break apart? We'll investigate it. مددت مددتما مددتم مددتي مددتما. Madattun. Madattu. Madadna. Okay. So that's why I told you. Sometimes you have to break the letters apart. It's still going to be mudaf. So that's why don't equate the shadda with mudaf and see them equal. Mudaf means the shadda. No. There's not shadda here. Rather just follow the definition that the middle root letter and the last root letter are the same. That's what's going to make it mudaf if it's thulathi. Now, here in madda, what's the origin of madda? Its origin is madada. So what happened is the fatha of the dal was removed. Hudifat. It's called hadith. Hadith, omission. Here, this is hadfu harakah, the omission of a vowel, not hadfu harf. Once we omitted that vowel in the first dal, then we became able to, in fact, required to merge the first dal into the second one. So it becomes medda. And then it's going to be the same thing for the second and third. So what's the origin of medda? The origin of medda is madada, like fa'ala. And then same thing happened. Have omission of the haraka and then merging the dal into the dal. Same thing for maddu. Its origin is madadu, and we omitted the haraka and then merged the dal into the dal. And same thing for maddat. The origin is madadat, fa'alat. And then hudifatil fatha. The fatha was omitted. Wa udghimati dalu fi dal. And then the dal was merged into the dal. And the same thing for maddata. The origin is madadata. To remind you, what's this ta in madadata? This ta is the ta'nith sakina itself. And what's the alif here? This alif is the alif of duality. Ta'u ta'nith as-sakina. Then you might say, how could ta'u ta'nith as-sakina have a fatha? Is that not defying its own name? Sakina, that means without a vowel. The answer is that this is still ta'u ta'nith as-sakina, and the sukoon is muqaddar. The sukoon is muqaddar. The sukoon on that ta is estimated, but we must put a fatha there for the presence of the alif after it. So then what happened in madadata, or med Maddata. Its origin is madadata. Asluhu madadata. Hudifat harakatu dal. The vowel of the dal, al-ula, the first dal, was omitted. وأدغمت الدال في الدال الأولى في الثانية. Then the first dal was merged into the second one. So that's clear here. Same thing happened in all these cases. Okay. So this one, madda, madda, maddu, maddat, maddata. All these are now accounted for. Madadna. What happened here? Here. Madadna. Ala aslihi. It is as per its origin. Nothing happened here. It's not a question of what happened here. It's a question of why didn't it happen here? This is as per its origin. You would say, fa'alna, fa'alna, madadna. So there's no change here. So why didn't anything happen is the question here. The answer is because if we were to put a sukoon on the first dal so that we could blend it into the second dal, then we would have to put a haraka on the second dal because you can't have two sukoons in a row. And if we were to put a haraka on the second dal, then we would not be able to attach this pronoun. That pronoun cannot attach while there's a haraka in front of it. This pronoun only attaches to a letter with a sukoon. And the same thing for all of these. Madadna, madatta, madattuma, madattum, madatti, madattuma, madattunna, madattu, madadna. All of these are as per the origin. Nothing happened here in all these cases. Still muda'af. Now you might say, okay, why though this pronoun, all these pronouns, they all have the same judgment here? Why is it that all these pronouns, this noon, this ta, this ta, this ta, and tuma, which is here too, tuma, and tum, and tun, and na, why they will only attach if there's a sukoon on the letter before them? Because remember a rule that we learned before. Karahiyatu tawali. If you didn't write this rule and you don't remember this rule, then take it. You need, this is part of the science here. Karahiyatu tawali arba'i. Really, you should be able to say this for me now, but I've been going light on you. Mutaharrikat. فيما هو كالكلمة الواحدة. Which means disliking 4 consecutive vowels in what is like one word. Disliking 4 consecutive vowels in what is like one word. The old Arabs didn't like that. So they wouldn't say, if you remember, they wouldn't say darabatu. They would say darabtu. Sukun here. Same sukun, same issue here. Darabta, darabti. So since this is the rule here, then according to that, then this will force us to break these 2 dals apart. Because now we must put a sukun on the second dal. We must put a sukun on the second dal to accommodate the pronoun. And what kind of pronoun is this? This is a name you need to know. You should also write this down. It's called ضمير مرفوع متحرك. ضمير مرفوع متحرك. ضمير, you know what ضمير means? Pronoun. مرفوع, nominative. And متحرك, voweled. A voweled nominative pronoun. Voweled means what? Here, look here. Voweled means this pronoun has a vowel on it. You say na, madatna, madatta, madattuma, this vowel we're talking about. Madattum, madatti, madattuma, this one in particular. Madattunna, this one. Madattu, madatna. So it's vowel. And it's a dhamir, it's a pronoun, that's clear for you. And why it's marfu', what that means it's the fa'il, it's the subject of the sentence, of the verb. It's the subject of the verb. Whether it's fa'il or na'ib fa'il, whether fa'il or na'ib fa'il. So whenever you have dhamirun marfu'un mutaharrik, then whenever you have dhamirun marfu'un mutaharrikun fil muda'af الثلاثي, then you must break those letters apart. Do you have any question? Once you break those letters apart, then khalas, you're just going to leave it on its origin. And now here I'll remind you, where we get these rules from. Did the grammarians sit down and have a conference and then decide on the rules? No. They did not sit down and have a conference and then decide on the rules. How we got these rules like this? Remember, Arabic language is like a house or a structure that was already built. A structure already built, but no one has its plans. No one has its blueprints. It was built and no one had its blueprints already built though. So then there came some intelligent guided scholars upon the guidance of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they looked into this structure and they said, what a nice, intricate structure. Let us investigate it so that we can draw its blueprints. Not that let's make blueprints to build the building. No. Rather, they say, look at this building. Let's investigate it and then draw up its schematics. That's how we got these rules, which means these scholars came to the Arabic language and by their knowledge of the Arabic language, they simply explained what was there. Not that they had any hand in determining what should be done here. They explained what was there and they put names to things, but they didn't make the rules themselves. Okay, so I think that's clear. Now you have seen here, and it's going to be easier when we read the metin, when the idgham is wajib and when the idgham is mumtani', impossible. Yani, if we suppose here, mim, dal. So if we say here's a merged dal here, and then let's say we brought the pronoun maddana. So it doesn't work. Can't do it. It's not possible. So here's mudariya. Yamuddu. Let's write it all out. Yamuddu. Huwa. Yamuddani. Notice how I did the ya there. I brought the ya from overhead over the meme. Yamudduna. Tamuddu. Tamuddani. Yamdudna. Tamuddu. Tamuddani. Tamudduna. Tamuddina. Tamuddani. Tamdudna. Amuddu. Namuddu. So I brought the noon from over top of the meme because easier. All right, so we see here. Yamuddu, yamuddani, yamudduna, tamuddu, tamuddani, yamdudna, tamuddu, tamuddani, tamudduna, tamuddina, tamuddani, tamdudna, amuddu, namuddu. So in the case of mudari', the only time the idgham was impossible was with the women's noon. Qad you call women, am I right? Well, hopefully that wasn't a tasteless joke there. So only when it had the women's noon, we were not able to merge the dals. And else, yani everywhere else, otherwise we were. Okay. Yani, and for the same reason, which is that's dhamir marfu' mutaharrik. So what's your homework? Your homework is to do this whole paragraph here. It's going to be good practice for you. How many you have here? Even the one I did, you do it too. Just to add to your practice. So how many do you have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's good. Maybe it'll take you half hour or less, or maybe more. So what you're going to do, you're going to do the sarf. Like I already did MuDaa Yamuddu for you. You're going to do it yourself, though. Here's MuDaa Yamuddu already done. So you can just follow the pattern. MuDaa, MuDaa, MuDdu, MuDdat, MuDdata, MuDdadna. So you're going to do that all the way, just like what's here. But you're going to do it yourself, and not you're going to just copy, not going to just look at what's there and then write it down. You're going to do it yourself from your own mind so that you understand. Inshallah. So, and then the mudari is done for you here. Yamuddu, yamuddani, yamudduna, tamuddu, tamuddani, yamdudna. Okay. And then from there, you're going to do all these. A'adda. So that means you're going to say a'adda, a'addu, a'addat, a'addata, a'addadina, a'addadina. And I'm not going to give you more for now. And we went over this before too. So this is not the first time. So you have here 9. You're going to do your homework. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.